We are here on all delegates meeting for Eden on EOS, and we have a little bit of an agenda. I will share that right away so we can just go through it, and if there's any changes or suggestion, we can do those. And this is basically opening of the meeting, approval of agenda. Item 3, RFP, Eden Fund Distribution Summary, some words on that. And then we come into a little bit talk about working groups, what me and Mo kind of a little bit see as priorities. Item 4, 1, administration communications, 2, workshops on future Eden on EOS, 3, technical elections inductions, 4, code of conduct dispute resolution. And then item number 5 is circles, and as number 6 we have other matters in case something will be added and we have a time for it and such. Is the agenda okay? No dramatic changes or high priorities we need to squeeze in?
Sounds good.
Yeah, no one say nothing else, so I'll take that away and I'll guide us through, and then I'll mention a few words just on this RFP. There were some technical difficulties. I can let Mo speak more on it, but therefore we actually moved RFPs as one new topic in our Eden community Telegram group. So any RFPs coming up, including the current one, is also now in our own Telegram and possibly further distributed. Maybe Mo want to add on some detail on why.
No, essentially, I think you covered it all. We just had some issues with the RFP where it was published initially. We weren't receiving the contact information from all of the people that were interested. So at this point, we've decided to also publish it through the regular and more conventional mediums that we have, and hope that those people will reply through those mediums as well, and we'll be in touch so we can move that forward as soon as possible.
Thank you.
I believe we settled on May 4th was going to be the new date by when
Correct.
we were going to select the candidate.
And also we're asking to be sure we didn't miss anyone, that those now, the number of them that actually applied through the job board, we don't have full details on them. So if they kindly could joggle in or send a direct message to Mo, it's all on the Telegram group page, so that we don't miss anyone due to these technical difficulties. But that's how it is when it's a beta product. We want to support them similarly, but if it's not working flawlessly, we gotta have alternatives on hand. I would
still support and tell everyone that, you know, reach out to the job dashboard.io page and place any type of requests that you have for work, or if you have work to issue, and you know, use community infrastructure. We have to support it, and hopefully it spreads and we can use it as a cornerstone of the community.
No, I agree definitely, and it's a good one, and they are acting quickly whenever we mention something or whatever. They actually responding quickly, and that's very important to developing good. I have something here, excuse me, is it starting early? Okay. Yeah, I let Mo continue and go through item 4, working groups, and our thinking there a little bit. Come.
Essentially, we've discussed the issue of the working groups and the circles. We're planning on having the working groups that we've already agreed on, that are based on the commitments that the delegates have made to begin forming. And those working groups will then turn into the circles, or become part of the circles that we've decided on that are key to the infrastructure of Eden. So one of the key working groups will be the communications and media. Another will be the administrative. So those will be the two that we will be starting off first. We've discussed with Gabriel, and since one of his commitments was to do workshops for Eden on EOS, to start having these workshops be more routine and regular occurring. which will focus on the future of Eden on EOS and which way our objectives will, what our, I guess, our objective will be and which way we're going to take the organization. So we would urge everyone to be part of those workshops and to spread them to the rest of the community, because it's not only going to be delegates. We want everyone to be involved and to start establishing a common culture and a common knowledge around what the direction of Eden on EOS is going to be. And the more buy-in and input we have from the community, the better. So unfortunately, Gabriel isn't here yet. Hopefully he'll be joining us later on and he can speak more to that.
We talk about code of conduct and dispute resolution as a starting working group as well, because that is a rather meaty piece, and similarly, that is part of our bylaws and similar coming up. And therefore, it's a bit early to start reviewing bylaw and amend it and similar. That needs to be done once we have progression on the code of conduct and dispute resolution. So that will be the starting point, and then possibly some weeks down the road, they start to get that together after focus is on that one alone. And then we also look at as I have verbally mentioned, possibility of forming that into regulation that is referenced, the code and conduct and the dispute resolution, actually to be referenced in the law, the bylaw or statutes or constitution. There's many different words for that around the globe. So therefore we start that. It doesn't spell out bylaw, but it is of course part of a bylaw work. So maybe the same working group might morph into becoming the bylaw group as well. So we'll see how that works.
And then later on into the administrative group, because of course that will have to be also managed by that administration. And these will all be influenced in how and what direction Eden on EOS takes. So once again, it would be important to have everyone's input on that and to be participative in these working groups.
Any questions from anyone here or suggestion? As you all understand, we are feeling our way forward. We have to sort of say address and wake the curiosity and similarly, and to get the people. There's been a lot of discussion in Telegram and similarly, but now it's kind of, okay, let's discuss it in a more organized form. And so we'll feel our way and push some corners and similar to get it going upwards. Welcome, Jesse. Good. We're running through. We can almost go home already. While I was answering Jesse got lost a little bit. But did you cover the technical as well, the elections? On working groups?
That's going to be another one of the working groups that's going to be forming, which would also enter into the administrative circle. So we want to get as many people as possible also active in looking at the technical issues of the elections and how we can better have them functioning, including a team to be in charge of managing the elections regularly and routinely.
So those four are what we're hoping that actually should be somehow led up and formed in the coming days and start working next week. It might be only a few people and then attract some more, and we'll have a couple of days to get that organized. We have some names in mind that we might approach and ask to come in, but of course it will be open for, these are working groups, and we'll be looking on the structure and similar, how we best can do it. And even the groups themselves would have to find their way how to do things and communicate with us. We might be sitting in, me and Mo as CDs, but mainly then as a passive observer or similar. And that's the whole idea with it. Any thoughts on that part?
I would like to add to that as well, that we would like the leads for these working groups to be delegates. So we encourage you guys to reach out if you're interested in leading any of these working groups mentioned. From another part, this is also something that we've been thinking about, is the structure of the working groups and the circles and how what we have can also be implemented within them. That would be the fractally process. So what the Eden Fractal is doing might be an interesting way to manage these working groups and progress.
So we have a bit of experimentation, but if it succeeds the way me and Mo think it might, and we have some examples of it already in communities like Eden Fractal and similar, that the process itself works, and there are some good tools for it as well. So we're trying a little bit making use of what is around, just a fraction of it, to the different tools that are made upon EOS and similar. Anything more on working groups before we go into the topic of circles? If not, circles. Now we are deliberately only mentioning working groups and 4 different working groups intended for starters. There are more to come, but we start with a few priorities. So, yeah, Marco, sorry, I didn't see your hand. Shoot.
Yeah, I have a problem with a couple of things. One of the things is, as I mentioned earlier before the recording, working hard versus the new economy and the way millennials think. And then the other thing is in blockchain, which is beyond that. Anytime there's a redundancy on the job boards, I'm not saying a login via Anchor. The login via Anchor would be the Eden account, and the Eden account would provide the information that's requested. I am strongly turned off anytime blockchain doubles up. I mean, why don't we have the Anchor account and then we just use that Eden information for Gmail and stuff like that?
I can answer that. Mel has asked for funding to include the Anchor availability and incorporation, which costs more. So he'll be raising funds in Pomelo. So hopefully we can all donate and get that going for him. If there's any questions, Jesse's face is kind of has something to add. This is outside of my expertise. I don't know how much, if that costs anything or how difficult that could be. But if you have if you guys have,
it's very easy. I don't know the process, but I would say that's a top priority before anything goes on the job board. Again, the redundancy. Yeah, I'm strongly turned off for that for any reason.
Okay. I mean, it's a good point because I also brought it up to him initially that I would like to see that incorporated. And that's where the conversation came from, where he said, yeah, well, we kind of need some funding to get that off the ground. And there I suggested that he should put that through Pomelo and we'd see what we could do about funding more development on the job board, including that. So.
Okay, we're not that many here and we are actually having a spare time, I believe. But then, Patrick, please, you feel free to voice us. You have your hand up.
Yeah, on the point of the job board with integration with Encore, that's take 10 minutes to make this integration with Encore. That's named Encore Link. Encore Link. That's totally easy when you know, yeah, for sure. And I have made that for on my site with my website and all. And that's 10 minutes. So if I call Mel Pierce, I can help him to do that. There is no need for funding for that. I want to be clear. We need funding really for other things more needed. Just for this Encore link, that's, sorry to say, a little bit ridiculous. So I am okay to to call him and try to help him as I can. Yeah.
Now, if I might comment there, that's the thing. I mean, it's a little bit like that engineer that solves the big engine problem no one can solve, but he charged for the experience. If you know the answer, it's easy. But yeah, if you don't, then it's very hard.
But there is another point on job board that is more important. That's the management of the session. It seems to be that sometimes you don't see the things as it should. And that is a problem of session. So session plus Encore, because Encore is also maintaining the Encore link is also maintaining a session. So that should be resolved generally. And I can try to help Mel on this front, but
I think it would be greatly appreciated. Any contribution?
Yeah, and I don't need to be paid for that. that's okay to do that without to be paid. That's okay. Just what I want to share shortly here. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Welcome, Andrew. We're kind of running towards the end of the agenda already, but no worries. We still have time here. Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to
Yep.
attend, but hello.
You're welcome. No worries. And on the circles then, Mo, do you want to expand a little bit about our thinking there and when and how the working groups fit in with the same?
Generally, yeah, as I touched on that before, the idea is to start with the working groups where they will start taking the shape of the circles as they get into the rhythm of working together and just moving into that as time goes on, and we can officialize them in that way. Initially, we're going to start with the comms and media circle, and the pieces that form the administrative circle, which would be the elections, the working group, the bylaws and code of conduct working group, and those would slowly start taking would form part of the administrative circle. The other circles would slowly come into play as we start seeing more of which direction Eden on EOS is going to take. So, yeah. If there are any questions?
There was one question in the chat. Can we list the name of those circles, media, administrative, and similar? But I just first say that we haven't finalized anything. That's why we start with working groups, see how they develop. Maybe one of the working groups will become one of these others. We don't know. And maybe we join together two different topics and, so it's all in flux. It's all experimental a bit. Mo, you can fill in more if you like.
As we're seeing, as we decide the direction of Eden on EOS, we're going to start incorporating the corresponding working groups, and they'll start being able to make more concrete progress, which will lead into forming the circles that will be part of the structure of Eden on EOS, depending on what directions we choose to take. So again, as per the first meeting that we had, I think everyone was pretty much on board that it would start taking the shape of a fund distribution type of organization. So we're just narrowing in on that a little bit more. And as we have more people coming in and seeing the kind of contributions and ideas that flow into the working group that's going to be dedicated to that, we'll start narrowing in on the structure of it. So hopefully we'll have more to do with that in the coming weeks.
The main thing what we're aiming for is to get some more people getting active in the groups. And that's why we're going to try to get the leads up and 1 or 2 members for starters. And once we have a working description and a work description, that's what you say, for each group, and have a little bit of a dialogue, how they perceive things. And so we want independent units kind of, but to be in sync with the CDs. So we get more people working. I mean, we're only 2 CDs current term, and we have our hands full, me and Mo. So it's important to have these other groups coming up fast, even if it is a bit of a tentative move forward. And we don't have a structure yet, but that will be for the group also to assist. What would be the best structure to work with? Anyone? Oh, sorry, Jesse, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, who do you think are going to be actively participating in these working groups and these circles? There's not many people that are active on Eden on EOS right now, and you're talking about 5 working groups. Like, it seems like it's too much.
I think there's going to be a lot of overlap. There's going to be a lot of the same people working in different working groups, for one. And from another part of this, I would say that we're going to have to start also putting some funding behind these. So that might incentivize more people to get involved.
Yeah, there's got to be more people. And yeah.
Yeah.
I would say,
oh, sorry, come on.
Yeah, I was going to say one thing, just to remember, well, not to remember so much as remember, but let me just bring this up as another key point that you know, all of us were dedicated funding to get all of these things off the ground. So I think working together with our funds to push these initiatives forward is key. Something to keep in mind.
And one of the things, going through videos here now, and you know the recaps from commitments and similar. I'm starting that now here end of this month as committed, and they will do quite a few every day if time allows, and post for the same. And that will also give me hints, people that have actually expressed interest in the breakout rooms, which we not always hear. And through that way, me and Mo might make direct approaches to some of these people and say, hey, you got your opportunity here. So we'll learn quite a bit more about the people who showed up for the election and similar, and can hopefully pick up some additional manpower there until we get things going. Because if we're not, until we get things going in this kind of a structure or similar, it's not going to happen much. So we need to push it one way or the other, even if it comes tapping on the door of others and say, come on, now it's time. We have it set up for you. Just come in and help and do your bit.
Can I just quick question to those that have that regularly participate in the Eden Fractal? How many are the usual members that show up there?
More about 10 people, 15 in a situation where we have to improve our processes, strengthen the processes. So we agree all on that, and not really find the mission or find an agreement or those things, because that will come after. We are more about strengthen the processes, and there are similar problems in Eden Fractal that we have also into Eden on EOS. That's the role of a delegate. What is the role of a delegate really? When you are elected as a delegate, what are you supposed to do at a technological level, economical level, and societal level? What is the role really? And that we have to set a we have to set a culture. Let's say define the role exactly. And that's what I see in common with Eden Fractal. And now clear, if you are a delegate level 1, like Adam and other, you are a delegate level 1. I don't say you have to, but you could use some part of your funds to fund things that are needed for Eden and EOS to move forward. And also you can join the Eden Fractal for sure to make your contribution there, and you will be rewarded by doing so, by the way. That's create a synergy between Eden Fractal and Eden on EOS that we don't have really. We were thinking about making some interlinks between Eden Fractal, Eden on EOS, but it's not yet the case really. So
but that's also why, if I may, that's why we're looking at the fractal principle, like Eden Fractal, and partly also the Genesis fractal earlier and stuff. It's very, I see it as conducive to actually make rewards and similar building backwards, because that's what we are lacking in Eden or EOS. It's just future promises. We need to show also and set a record on what was achieved and reward accordingly. So that's the thinking behind the working groups. And these 4 working groups, they are just what we see as some of the priorities. There are a whole bundle of more priorities, but we've got to start somewhere. So, I mean, much of what is mentioned, like you said, for what is the delegate responsibility and like, that comes into a little bit also the bylaws and stuff again. So things that will develop through the term, but now we need to address those working groups that we feel, I mean, we can contribute, of course, and we want to listen in, but we try to get people more suitable for those areas and have them working in sync with us also. So it's a way of trying to do with a small army. We try to achieve a little bit to get momentum going, and then we can expand when people around us, the membership and the delegates. We have never been a full delegate house yet in a meeting. But when that start to happen, then we have more power to expand what we are doing. But we got to get the baby going, walking first, before we can run with it.
I
Totally.
would say Patrick mentioned a lot of great points in terms of the delegates and their responsibilities. That is something that we definitely have to focus in on, which moves on with the line of what is the objective of Eden on EOS. So once we have that clear, we can also start working on exactly what the responsibilities of the delegates and the chief delegates is going to be. Depending on what our direction is, maybe they have to be something or something else.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I also think that
Yeah.
what the point brought up about what is happening in the Eden Fractal, the lack of objective is kind of the problem I see in both. And this is why we were thinking of leveraging the fractal process in the working groups and the circles, because these are going to be things that have a specific objective. Everyone in these groups is going to have a specific reason why they're there. So there's a better ability to judge each other based on the work that was submitted. And that should be more conducive to achieving objectives within that group, which then in a fractal process build out into achieving objectives for the group as a whole.
And that, as raised in the last meeting I was, or mentioned by Mo, that we have agreed both that we will fund part of this and similar, because according to bylaws and it's not a good idea to start pulling out things from treasury and so. So we will instigate this kind of and fund it in the beginning to some extent. And when it comes to the circles and getting paid and in the bylaws, those kind of things is what we're trying to build or come up is a certain circles which we deem in about a month's time, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, we might feel that those are strong enough for the coming CDs to also feel, yes, we need to do it, because they might be then included in the bylaw as well. We don't know yet. Somehow those kind of setup circle systems, there's a lot of things still evolving that is very hard to say yes or no or what we do. We're still learning as we go forward, but the main thing is to try to activate more people, and through the working groups and these particular ones, I think is kind of a low-hanging fruit and should get going, a few of them, and then we try to add up a little bit in those particular groups with quality people they need, and also expand the number of topics we're working on. I mean, it's all theoretical at this stage, but we've got to work on making it happen. It's very easy to talk, but to get it done is a different story, and that takes another week or so before we should see any inkling of that. Mo, maybe you want to add something, or you want to hit me on the fingers, maybe?
On the contrary, fully agree. Fully agree. I would maybe add that to keep in mind that these working groups would then their first without being too repetitive work to get done would be working through the backlog of things that have just piled up through the last 2 years. I mean, just most recently, I don't know if anyone's familiar with the little bit of work that Gion has done in terms of collecting all of the media and websites and such, all of the socials that are out there that belong to Eden or have relation to Eden. He's put together a spreadsheet of that for us. That alone, I mean, it took him time to do that, and that's something that then we have to incorporate and organize and be able to leverage and know how. And that's something that a comms working group could take and start, utilizing to be productive.
And before I see 2 hands up, but before I let go there, I just want to continue with what Mo say, that in these 4 initial groups, it doesn't really spell out one of my big priorities, which is actually we have to create information system on internet that people find easy and they find whatever they might need from it, indexed and similar, through links and similar. What Yeon has done is, and on instruction and done very well, I mean, it's a starting work, is to find different sources on the net and then also identify the owners and other things. And if you have a working group soon set up for it, they can start to actually come up with a proposal. Maybe we can do it this way. Maybe this scanner is up to date already. To work out the cooperation with them, that we index them into that landing page of Eden on iOS. We don't need to start put everything together, but what pains me a lot is that I do not yet know of any website that carries all the election videos. Each term almost have their own election videos. No? Oh, good. Patrick corrects me. So you get it when you get your word. I give it to Marco first.
Yeah, go Marco.
All right, so just so you guys have, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I don't have a lot of time left, so I'll definitely be listening the rest of the way. I do have a background in administrative stuff, education-wise and real-world-wise. So I just let you know I bring that to the table. When it comes to Eden and the weekly fractal group, that really was part of the inspiration for pushing for these weekly meetings. There was productivity going on there. One fractal meeting is not going to get the same done as a quarterly meeting as Eden did. So you couldn't expect that, but that's kind of the perception. It's like, look what they did on Eden this past election. Look what we did this past week. I mean, obviously, that doesn't make sense. So you need a different perspective. The process is what we deal with here. It's been going on since last kind of election, sort of, but there's the power center isn't there, and that's what I want you to focus on when you hear my viewpoint here. The power perspective on the fractal is on a weekly perspective. The delegates that we now have came later in a way to bridge over to Eden Neos. So in saying that, I think the best way to look at it is to look at fractal as a partnership, a business partnership in a sense. And the easiest way to do that is to go back to how Dan Larimer looked at both projects. We started with the Eden Fractal as a contract for the Eden network. It's kind of like the planning. You give money and you're planning things out. Where Fractal was done on the back end, and again, like insurances is done on the back end of insurance. Now, there's smart ways to go about this. In aviation, nothing happens in insurance until people are dead. Or how it's been done. We have better tools than how that precedent was set. So if we look at it as looking toward the future, looking toward the back end and a partnership, and leverage each for what they have. You have 3 months to plan out something and deliver something. In the Eden Fractal, they want to know what you did this past week. You're not mixing perspectives or pressure or stressors. I think the best, as I say now, is as a partnership. And lastly, the Eden Fractal may be a good way to design circles. And of course, those would be under the head of Eden Neos with support or some or one or two under the head of the Eden Fractal. But if we look to engulf the whole thing, I think we may find a lot of resistance. And again, that's just a take on later here.
Let me just respond to the last point really quickly. I don't think the idea is to engulf anything. It's to leverage the process. So if it would be, I mean, there's no reason why the Eden Fractal group would have to be engulfed per se. It would just be basically taking on the process and leveraging it as the Eden Fractal has evolved it, incorporating it into what we're doing and seeing how best it can be leveraged.
Okay, I'll give it to Patrick.
Yeah, to go into the same vein as Mo about leverage the things, there is a concrete action here that I do since the beginning of Eden on EOS on May 2021. I was beginning with that, doing a mind map. And this mind map has grow. Today it's named Eden dashboard. And there is currently in it linked the Eden docs of Giant that was funded for that by me. And I will continue with Giant. Now he's doing the Excel with all the links I will mapping out those links into the Eden dashboard mind map, whatever happened. And there is also there the video of our meetings, past meeting of other election, and also this current now ongoing. And that will contain also the index of the contact. So this Eden dashboard will become something very, let's say, angular, because this mind map is referenced by edenelections.com into the footer, and there is a link to the Eden dashboard. So the mind map pointing to giant work, to pointing to other work, and like this we have mapping out the links, including the recaps. So what else? So we have to leverage what we have. So to go in the same vein that Mo mentioned about the working group, I was thinking about very concrete, that's come now clear in my mind, something. Instead to go into Eden on EOS and Eden Fractal and trying to do your contribution, your contribution week after week. If you go into the Eden Fractal doing your contribution to a working group that has been already created for front, let's say the working group about media communication, then the people, when they join Eden Fractal, they do their contribution into a breakout room for a working group, and others are doing contribution for another working group. Like this, all in parallel, the working group are growing, and then we find synergy with Eden on EOS, because Eden on EOS is also creating working group. So now, if Eden on EOS is doing a precedent on this term, creating those working group, and Eden Fractal has the right to do other things, but if Eden Fractal is also doing working groups, then people can jump from Eden on EOS to Eden Fractal and inverse Eden Fractal to Eden on EOS. That's create bridges, getaways. I was just thinking now that, because we speak about working groups and we have not that yet into Eden Fractal, we are making the precedent now here into Eden on EOS. And the dream was to link, not merge, link, connect. Let's connect Eden Fractal with Eden on EOS and vice versa. So,
just so there's no misunderstanding, there is no such discussion at this time. We're just looking
no.
Use the similar kind of. It's one of the options for funding the similar type of work, to funding the people working in the groups to use the fractal method, and likewise. But that is something that needs to be developed. Yes, Mo.
It's more about leveraging the process, not the Eden Fractal group. With the people. I wouldn't be against, like I said, most of the people that are in the Eden Fractal are also in Eden on EOS. So it would be a question just of forming the working group, informing people that are already familiar with the process and bringing them over, whoever's interested in collaborating in such a group and working on it. However, I would just to address your point, Patrick, about people jumping from one to another. I think that would be more difficult in terms of having people from the Eden Fractal coming over into a working group that's dedicated to advancing the ideas of Eden on EOS, because that's a specific. That's why they're specifically driven to one objective. So, and that's kind of what's still been the problem on the Eden Fractal, that they haven't had that objective. So,
yeah, clear.
The idea of the Eden Fractal creating working groups and dividing people into these categories may be very beneficial for them to do as well. That's something that could be introduced into the Eden Fractal and help them. It's more about the process over and integrated into, because I think in terms of technology as well, the Eden Fractal has developed a lot, which can be leveraged within Eden on EOS. And I think that's great. That's fantastic. That's been something that has been even supported by Eden on EOS in a lot of the cases. So
nice perspective. Thank you. We are brainstorming a little bit here. Nice.
Okay, now we've covered, so to say, the agenda items, and as you all notice, it's still a bit fluff around the corners because we haven't nailed it down yet. We're still experimenting, discussing, but the target is that we should have 3-4 working groups up, even if it might be only a few, 2-3 people inside. But it's like they said, 1 + 1 is 3, you know. So I mean, instead of only me and Mo, we might get another few people that actually focus on certain areas, and that way we get more productive. That's the whole idea. I jump to the last item, 6. We're about to wrap up soon. Other matters. Anyone want to raise anything out of the agenda item besides that? Because if not, it might be that we are wrapping up. Very quiet and nice. Mo, you have any final words?
None. Unfortunately, I can see that Gabriel wasn't able to join us today. Hopefully, I can still, or Lenny and I can still meet with him and see how we can move ahead with starting the working groups that will be deciding in what direction Eden on EOS will be going, and having people participating and contributing and getting that buy-in from delegates as well as the community.
Quite right. And I mean, many of us took part in an earlier period where we did this work with Gabriel. So it's kind of probably would attract a few people right away on that one. So with those words, I kind of give it to Patrick to sign off. Thanks for this time. Patrick, please, traditional manner.
Absolutely. We never change the the tradition here. And in other meeting also, we finish always with a nice go Eden on EOS with heart, soul, and mind. But before to do so, I just want to say thank you, Lenny. Thank you, Mo. Very engaged CDs here, leading the charge. And us, we are not the sheep, we are the lions. We have to continue to join. And we need more people on this Eden on EOS meetings. Please, delegate call. Join this meeting. Watch the video recorded week after week and join us. We cannot do all that alone. Impossible.
Just add a little bit. I just checked today. We actually have quite a bit of viewing in recorded version. So I think there's a hope that we might be able to bring them in alive too. Thanks.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. And okay, we can go along like this, but we have to close at a point. So raise your hand when you are ready. Okay, now I do the countdown. 3, 2, 1, 0. Go Eden on EOS! You understand?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Absolutely.
Bye.